Welcome to this week's Ancient History News. My lead story is about the excavation of an Etruscan domestic dwelling in Corsica. It's the first of its kind to be found there, and as you may know from my previous videos, the remains of houses dating to the Etruscan period are rare in general. I then discussed the discovery of ancient rock art sites in Venezuela, an enormous burial mound in the Czech Republic, and a 5,000-year-old temple in Peru. Archaeologists excavate the first Etruscan domestic structure ever to be found in Corsica. At the end of 2023, archaeologists excavating a site in preparation for a construction project uncovered an Etruscan domestic dwelling dating to between the 6th and 4th centuries BCE. Located near the town of Ghisonaccia on the eastern plain of Corsica, the site is around 1 kilometre from the Tyrrhenian Sea and is on a slightly sloping alluvial terrace north of the Alzetta stream. The remains of the domestic building include pebble foundations that show it was oriented along a northwest to southeast axis. Prior to construction, the land had been levelled. The 3 pebble foundations enclose a space that measures 6.35 metres in length by 5.3 metres in width, yielding an internal surface area of 34 square metres. These pebble foundations are bound by silty sediment and were deposited in a foundation trench. What remains covers 3 courses with varying widths up to 1 metre. Holes have also been found within these foundations that probably contained wooden posts that held the roof up originally. From other materials found, archaeologists think the walls were made of clay and then infilled with earth. An anthropological study will provide more information on this. A hearth made up of reused storage vases was found in the centre of the building, and a pit discovered close by had been used for dumping waste from this hearth. The whole internal area was strewn with ceramic fragments. Overall, the pottery sherds that have been collected weigh 43.3 kilograms. None of these pottery vessels were decorated and had thick, coarse, or semi-thin walls. They are mostly from containers that were not used for cooking. The corpus didn't include fine Etruscan ware, Hellenistic imports, or locally produced ceramics. Based on typological elements, archaeologists have assigned the pottery to a broad chronological period between the 6th and 4th centuries BCE. Further analyses of the pottery will be carried out to determine what, if any, organic residues remain and where the pastes that make it up originate from. This will enable a reference corpus for Corsica to be created and help to see what role the site played in Mediterranean trade at that time. South of the domestic dwelling, a ditch was found measuring 15 metres in length and 1.7 metres in width. Since it's close to the meander of the Alzetta stream, it's possible it was designed to carry water from there to the house. 20 post holes were also discovered close to the dwelling, which probably held wooden structures. Several pits containing reddened walls from cooking and domestic waste were also found nearby. This is an interesting site because it's the only Etruscan domestic dwelling to have been found in Corsica. As I've mentioned in previous videos, the remains of only a few Etruscan domestic buildings have ever been found on the Italian peninsula. They were mostly made of mud brick and wood rather than stone, which obviously didn't survive too well. Most of what is known about the Etruscans comes from well-preserved tombs, such as at the necropolis of Banditaccia near Rome, where more than 1,000 tombs were built over around 600 years. I visited that site and did a video on it in case you missed it. Certain buildings such as temples are known to have existed because of textual sources, but once again, actual remains are rare. The style and structure of domestic houses has been determined from funerary architecture and artifacts. Firstly, by some urns, which are shaped like huts, so are thought to have been an imitation of where the cremated person lived. Secondly, by carved features within tombs, such as roof beams, that are thought to resemble the wooden architecture of domestic dwellings. In Corsica, the Etruscans also settled near to the modern-day village of Aleria and built a necropolis south of there at Casabianda. The latest find is around 15 kilometers to the south of Aleria. Newly discovered rock art in Venezuela could be from an unknown culture. A team led by archaeologist Jose Miguel Perez Gomez from the Simon Bolivar University of Caracas has discovered 20 ancient rock art sites in the Canamar National Park in Venezuela. This rock art was created by a culture that doesn't appear to have been known prior to the investigation of these sites. Some of the rock art is carved and some is painted in red, with a variety of motifs represented. There are geometric patterns such as dots, X's, stars, and lines, as well as stick figures of humans and leaves. No exact date can be assigned to the rock art, but it's probably older than the 4,000-year-old sites found in Brazil. Similar rock art has been found in the Guyanas and southern Colombia, and these sites may have been created at a later date by descendants of the culture that made the rock art in Canamar National Park. The park is enormous and is made up of forests, mountains, and the tallest land-based waterfall in the world, Angel Falls. According to Live Science, who has had correspondence with Perez Gomez, he thinks that the rock art probably played a ritual role in the community that created it. It may have been related to birth, good luck in hunting, or for healing, and the landscape itself was likely chosen for its particular characteristics. Ceramics and stone tools were also discovered at the rock art sites, but it's not certain if these were made and used by the same people that created the rock art. Further research will need to be done to prove a connection and also to see if other sites exist within Canamar National Park. The research has been presented at the New World's New Ideas Prehistoric Archaeological Congress that was held in Italy between 26th and 29th of June. Prior to that, a paper detailing one of the rock art sites was published in the journal Rock Art Research in November 2023. This looked specifically at decorated panels within the Upigmar rock shelter and the relationship this art may have with other sites in the region. The authors of the paper also discussed the role the shelter may have played in the lives of hunter-gatherers as both a domestic space and a ritual site. Burial mound found in the Czech Republic is one of the largest in Europe. Archaeologists excavating beside a highway in the Czech Republic have discovered a burial mound dating back 6,000 years. Measuring 190 meters in length and 15 meters in width, it's the longest barrow ever to be found in the region and probably in the whole of Europe. It sits on a northeast to southwest axis and contained two burials of individuals lying on their left sides facing north. Archaeologists think the mound belonged to the Funnel Beaker people, who inhabited the region between 3800 and 3350 BCE. The Funnel Beaker culture emerged in what's now northern Germany around 4100 BCE and spread throughout north-central Europe. They get their name from their distinctive pottery, which comprised funnel-shaped vessels. The mound wasn't visible above ground since it's in a heavily farmed area. However, during excavations, archaeologists found evidence of a trench surrounding it. Similar trenches had been discovered at other barrows in the area. Interestingly, these other trenches contained post holes which would have held a wooden palisade, but this particular one doesn't have any. One of the individuals was buried in a pit with additional trenches on either side containing post holes, so had probably been placed in a wooden structure originally that's not survived. A pottery vessel was found alongside them. In the other burial, 5 pieces of flint, including an arrowhead and a sharp blade, were found. 4 later graves were also discovered within the same burial. It's possible the central burials were of high status people and the later individuals were related to them. Other burial mounds from the same period in Central Europe normally contain only 1 or 2 individuals. 30 graves that were contemporary with the 2 central burials have also been found nearby. Archaeologists think the mound was an important funerary and ritual site for many generations. 5,000-year-old temple discovered in Peru. Archaeologists excavating at a complex in the Zania district of northwestern Peru have uncovered the remains of an ancient multi-story temple and the skeletons of 3 adults. The temple was found under a sand dune and dates back around 5,000 years. Its walls are plastered and decorated with friezes. Images include a human body with the head of a bird, feline features, and reptilian claws. The skeletal remains were found wedged between walls and were accompanied by offerings wrapped in cloth. They may have been part of sacrificial rituals. The temple also has the remains of a central staircase going up to a stage. Another monument dating to between 600 and 700, Peru's Moche period, was also found. That's it. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. Thank you to my patrons and channel members for all of your support. If anyone else wants to join either community, the details are in the description below. I'll see you next time.